Hey guys, welcome back to DONSLIFE. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. Last week I reported on the massive GM 6.2 liter L87 engine recall, and I have to tell you, this one's personal for me. We learned out of two vehicles that I own with the 6.2 liter L87 V8 engine that only one was recalled and one wasn't. Based on some newly released information, today we are diving deeper into this massive GM engine recall. And I'm here to explain why my 2021 GMC Sierra AT4 is not affected, but my wife's 2022 Cadillac Escalade is. We've got the latest report from the NHTSA, and we're going to walk you through not only what's being recalled, but why, and how GM claims they figured it out. So if you've been left wondering why some trucks and SUVs are included and some aren't, this video should help clear that up. Let's go. First, I just wanted to mention this story continues to develop. There's a lot of confusion out there. I'm going to cite the actual safety recall report. I'll link this in the video description below. I suggest you check it out because it does have a breakdown of the makes and models and even the numbers of those makes and models that are affected. You'll see that those add up to a grand total that you're probably seeing and hearing about in all types of publications at this point in time. The video I made last week was focusing on just the announcement of the recall and the little bit of information that we had. Today, there's some good news. We have a little bit more clarity. So here's what we knew already. Nearly 600,000 vehicles with a 6.2 liter L87 were being recalled. So what's the issue? Possible defects in the crankshaft or the connecting rod bearings. If these parts fail, they can cause serious engine damage, sudden knocking, loss of power, or complete engine failure. According to the report, the estimated percentage with this defect is 3%. Now, I don't know if this next part is fully confidence inspiring, but it does give you a little insight into GM's investigation process. This didn't come out of nowhere. GM noticed unusual patterns dating back to December 2022 when a supplier flagged a potential issue from internal testing. Then in February 2023, GM began investigating field return engines that had been replaced under warranty. By late 2023, they started tearing down failed engines and inspecting the internal components. That's when they discovered that these failures were happening in engines that were built March 1st, 2021 up until May 31st, 2024. And even more interesting, they were able to trace it back to a single engine plant in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. The root cause was linked to variations in the machining process. Basically, improper surface finishes or tolerances for the crankshaft or the connecting rod bearings. This is an important takeaway, but this could reduce oil film strength, leading to extra wear or eventual failure. I don't know, you tell me if this is good news, but once they pinpointed the time and the place of the problem, they knew exactly which engines were affected, so the recall could be laser targeted to just those vehicles. So now the information that we've reviewed so far tells us why my 2021 GMC Sierra AT4 was not affected. That's because its build date was January 2021. That's 2 months before the window of the affected engines were discovered. And that's why it's not part of this recall, and it probably won't be unless some of this information changes as this story continues to develop. However, my wife's 2022 Cadillac Escalade was built after March 1st, 2021, which means it's officially part of this recall. Based on my commentary from my last video, and many of you watching this one, we're wondering, why hasn't GM contacted us yet? Well, according to the report, owner notification letters will not go out until June 9th, 2025, and this is an estimated timeline. So if you haven't heard anything, it's not a mistake, it's based on this timeline. Now when GM's ready, and if your vehicle is affected, if it's throwing the P0016 code or showing signs of early failure, then GM will replace the engine free of charge. If it passes inspection, they'll do a preventative oil change. They'll replace the oil filler cap, so it'll state the new oil viscosity on the cap, on the label. They'll update your owner's manual with a supplement document to show the proper oil that needs to go into it, and they'll replace the filter. So how can they declare this as preventative? Well, it comes down to that takeaway I talked about earlier. They're going to improve, through the thicker viscosity oil, your oil film strength. In its simplest form, oil film strength is really just how well your engine oil can keep the metal parts from touching each other. And according to the GM recall, if your internal components are out of spec, it's going to stress the oil. So by using a thicker oil, GM is creating a stronger buffer, which should prevent engine damage, even in vehicles that passed inspection. So if you're new here and you haven't seen any previous videos on this, the easiest way to check if your vehicle is affected is open your My GMC or your My Chevrolet app, head to the recall and warranty information section, and you should see this right here. If you don't use the app because you have a flip phone, that's okay. I'll give you the links to the websites in the video description below, but you can head over to the NHTSA website, or you can go to GM's recall website, as well as you can just call the dealer, provide your VIN, and they'll let you know. And just remember, so you can avoid some frustration, if you call the dealership expecting to get this service right away, that's probably not going to happen. Remember, the owner notifications don't go out until the estimated timeline of June 9th. So it's probably going to happen sometime after that. Now, I'll admit, it was nerve-wracking learning that a vehicle that I own was affected by this recall. I've calmed down a little bit knowing that the impact is estimated at 3%. Now, I do acknowledge that does translate into a pretty big number. However, the odds of not having a catastrophic engine failure are in my favor. After reading the investigation and the full report, I do feel marginally better that GM did the work to trace the problem down and offer some type of solution. My advice to you is, if you are part of this recall, don't ignore it, stay on top of it, and get it handled. Now, like many of you watching, you might have an oil change that's due well before June or July this year. So what's gonna happen? Are they gonna put 0W20 in? Are they gonna put 0W40 in because they know that's what has to go in it going forward? Now, at the time of filming this video, I don't have the P0016 fault code. So if it stays that way, they're gonna change the oil to the new spec in the Cadillac Escalade. But if I have my oil change done right away, which I go in the intervals of 3,000 miles or 5,000 kilometers, which, by the way, that is the interval that seems to be recommended going forward with these vehicles because of these known defects. I just wonder what's going to happen. Will they put the new spec oil in now if I go right away? If I do go with the 0W20 because that's all they have, will they call me back right away even if I'm not at the next interval? Are they willing to change it if I'm only at, say, 1,000 miles? I just don't know. It's unresolved questions that I have. But don't worry, we're going to get there when we get there, and I'll be sharing it with you with an update video. Now, all of that said, there are some big questions that we have to ask, and I hope that I can address some of them right now. So I've listed some of them here to make sure that we do not miss any of these important questions. So does a recall override your powertrain warranty? So when a safety recall is issued and your vehicle is affected, it must be fixed at no cost to you, regardless of whether your factory warranty has expired. This is federal law under the US National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act, but I'm in Canada, so does it still apply? So even if your 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty is up, GM is still required to repair the issue related to the recall. But there are limits. This isn't a blank check, and here's where it gets tricky. Only recall-specific components are covered. GM will only inspect, replace what's outlined in the recall. You must officially be included in the recall. Even if your vehicle is not on the official recall VIN list, even if it has the same symptoms, GM can legally decline coverage unless you can prove otherwise. Any pre-recall repairs that have taken place may not be reimbursed automatically. If your engine failed before the recall and you paid out of pocket, you'll need to file for reimbursement and prove it was related to the same defect. GM usually honors these, but the burden of proof is on you. In this one, we don't know because I haven't seen it in print, but there could be mileage or time limits on reimbursements. Well, the recall must be honored regardless of age. Reimbursement claims may only apply to failures within a specific time or mileage window. For example, 10 years, 150,000 miles. This detail has not been finalized for this recall yet. Now, would GM go as far as using legal tactics to dodge responsibility? Well, according to the internet, in isolated cases, yes, it's possible. Now, this isn't exclusive to GM. This is all automakers. I think about Tesla and a lot of what the owners are going through with their warranties on some of their vehicles. So they could deny claims by arguing a different cause, like poor maintenance or abuse. They could refuse coverage for vehicles with mods or aftermarket tuning. And they could make you jump through hoops for reimbursement, requiring service history, part numbers, etc. That said, a federally mandated recall comes with government oversight. If there's clear evidence your engine failed due to the recall defect and your VIN is included, GM is under legal obligation to fix it. So how do we protect ourselves? Well, first, check your VIN, use the app, use the links below, or call your dealer. And very important, keep full service records. Continue to report any failures to the NHTSA. This helps build public record pressure. Just a piece of advice when dealing with the dealership, You can be firm, but be polite, but escalate to GM corporate if required. I'm sure many of you have been on top of all the information that's swirling around out there, but I wanted to do my part and share with you what I've learned so far. If this helped explain things, give this video a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Drop a comment below. Let us know what your theory or your thoughts or your comments are with this whole crazy situation, and we'll talk to you next time.